Season 6 of FNRad is presented by Vans, and this episode of Side Hits is brought to you by Stance Performance Snow Socks, which are designed to keep you moving with performance cushioning, which combines impact protection with comfort, performance arch support, which fights off strain and fatigue, engineered ankle protection, which saves your feet from annoying friction, Stance Feel 360 technology to fight odors and keep your feet cool and dry, and Stance Infinite technology in areas that experience the most wear like the heel, toe, and forefoot. Buy some Stance socks. This Side Hit episode features Sean Kearns.
Side hit.
Yeah,
I like it.
And I just came up with this question on the way up because I'm looking at the side of the road and I saw a couple of things like a goose I was going to bring here. I was like, how cool would that be to show up with a fucking Canada goose that got hit?
Oh, there's a dead goose?
I almost stopped, grabbed a goose, like, hey, what you want to do with this thing? Let's eat it or whatever.
To be honest, I would have been bummed if you showed up with a dead goose, but I would have been stoked if you showed up with a live one.
And that leads us to the next thing I saw, which was the sheep on the side of the road.
Oh.
And I was like, I got to ask him about that fucking sheep. Because what happened to the sheep? How did it get in the fucking car? It is the absolute best shot of the whiskey series for me is just the face of the sheep and how excited you are that you have a sheep in the fucking vehicle. What is the story behind that?
Well, actually, so this is one of those things where you probably built up a better story than actually happened.
Right.
So that was, we came up with that idea and we basically shot the stuff. I think I talked about it with you before about how I almost had a heart attack and sheep shit and because I was running and I'd been smoking and drinking pretty much competitively at that point for the whole trip. And this is so sick about Sean Johnson is that when he gets something in his mind, he just goes, we got to get this. And I watch that every once in a while, that ad, because it makes me laugh. And I always like to remember that I almost died in that field, honestly, because I almost had a heart attack. And anyway, but what happened was like, so we started shooting that stuff. Oh God, I always remember Mouse's laugh, like, hey! Like as I'm running through the field after I'm like laying there like, dude, I'm going to have a heart attack. He's like, oh, that was so sick. Ah. Anyway, so what happened with the sheep was, so Sean just on a mission, like, okay, we got this, let's go. And he just fearlessly found a sheep farm. And then we talked to this guy and like he's a sheep herder and so actually it's not me who grabs the sheep. No way. Yeah. Come on. Actually I get bummed when I see that ad because it makes it look like we're doing like animal abuse basically.
It kind of does.
Just to be straight, the sheep didn't get banged. No banging sheep. And the guy who actually jumped over the fence. And if you actually look at it now that I tell you this story, you'll look at not that you're watching 20-year-old VHS tapes, but if you see the guy jump the fence, you'll be able to see it's not me. We have a different stride. Anyway, so he looked more stiff than me. I'm so into style. I thought, God, I hope people don't think that's me. Look, I'm running sick in the field, but now all of a sudden I'm just squabbling along, and I'm like, whatever. Anyway, so super good guy, and I just always laugh about the conversation, like Sean just being like, hey, how's it going? Hey, would you mind putting this clown suit on and jumping in our van and grabbing one of these sheep? And we kind of told the guy, he did it. And I think we gave him a case or something like that. And he was just a super good guy. And he's like, and this is like, we're talking out in the middle of nowhere, New Zealand, like butt pump nowhere. And this guy was just down for it. Next thing you know, he's chucking the sheep. So he handled the sheep and the sheep was not thrashed at all. Like he was the dad of these sheep basically. And he's like, I'll handle them. You're not touching the fucking sheep. I'm like, thank fucking God. And then I probably would have carried him in by the tail thinking that's the best thing to do or something. I don't know. So, all jokes aside, at the end of the day, it was never malicious with us. So it was never like, oh yeah, let's go herd sheep. Right. Right. That's not what we were rolling with. So I get a little bit bummed when I see that, but then I'm like, fuck that. I think that's one of the best things that we've ever done. Yeah. It was pretty funny.
Okay. So right there, that story was completely unexpected. Like I thought that you guys were mean. Like I actually like you a little bit more now. I like you a lot. So yeah. No, that's good. That's a classic side hit right there.
Awesome.
The fucking sheep.
The sheep.
FNRad shoutouts to Stephen Fallis for the idea to do Side Hits in the Side Hits name. Be sure to come back Wednesday for a regular episode of the FNRad Snowboard podcast presented by Vans and brought to you by SIA Productions.